Hey all, Daniel here. We have a great new way for you to reach out to us here at We Watch TV. If you take a look down in the show notes of the podcast, you'll notice a link that says text us a question or comment. The link will open the messaging app on your phone, and from there you can send a text message to us, your favorite variety TV podcast hosts. So if we say something you like or don't like about your favorite show, click that link and educate us on your opinion. We love hearing them, even if they're wrong, and we will make sure to shout you out on our next episode or answer your burning questions. So make sure and check that out down in the show notes. And now, enjoy the episode. Hey everybody, and welcome to We Watch TV, the podcast about the TV that we watch. I am Daniel, she is Hope. This is episode 74. I hope everybody had a good and safe 4th of July holiday. I hesitate to say weekend because it was on a Thursday, but basically everybody celebrated from Thursday to Sunday, at least around here. The Hilljacks were shooting their fireworks off.
I think they're probably, I don't know if they've depleted their supply yet.
Oh no, they'll still be going tonight, yeah, for sure.
Probably the rest of summer.
Highly illegal stuff they have a hold of.
Yeah. Those ones, that looked like what you'd see if you go downtown for like the city sanctioned fireworks that we could see like out our window. Like, while those are illegal, at least those are like decent to look at. What I can never understand is the ones that are just noisy and annoying.
Yeah.
Which thankfully, our dog does not freak out like other dogs, but he definitely doesn't like it. He's more like grumpy old man, like, what is this racket? Why is it bothering me? Shut up. I'm trying to relax. That's kind of his vibe. He doesn't get as scared. He's not happy.
He's annoyed.
Though. He's very much annoyed.
He's annoyed by it, but he's not like yapping and hiding and all that stuff. So we are fortunate there.
Should we mention the shrimp cocktail?
It was strange. I don't know how it got delivered, but was that the 4th of... No, that was Saturday.
That was Saturday.
But Saturday...
I assume somebody wanted it for a 4th of July party, but...
I walked out our door, and on the steps of our home were a couple Walmart bags, one of which contained a 50-count shrimp cocktail, and then mixers for, I'm assuming, Bloody Marys, and then then to make the whatever you dip those shrimp into. I can't eat those shrimp, so
you're allergic.
I'm allergic, so I don't know what it's called.
and then Dr. Pepper,
and a case of Dr. Pepper. Neither of which either of us drink.
I hate Dr. Pepper. Do not sponsor us.
Yeah, stay away, Dr. Pepper. And I was like, what is this? And
you go, did you order something? I was like, no, I don't like shrimp cocktail. I don't like Dr. Pepper. It was weird because they never knocked on the door.
No.
They just put it on the steps, left. No neighbors came to us asking if we accidentally got their delivery. So I hope whoever was having a party eventually was able to get their stuff. What I couldn't figure out is why you would leave shrimp cocktail, which is supposed to be cold, on the steps in the hot sun and not knock on the door.
I've had some bizarre things, including some bizarre food items delivered to me at this house. I would never have any kind of meat, which includes fish and shrimp, delivered to my home at any time of year, but particularly July.
And it's different with like HelloFresh because they pack that stuff like with cold packs. This was just in like a bag,
just sitting out there.
It was very
baking.
It's just another weird thing. And what else happened? Not weird because it seems to be an occurrence that happens all the time. So we were at our 4th of July party at my aunt's house, about an hour away. We are making great timing getting home. We had already gotten a text that our power was out. Shocker. Mm-hmm. There have been some storms come through the area. Somebody so much as sneezes within a 50-mile radius of our house, we might lose power for 6 hours. It's just how it is around here. You guys can go back through the previous podcasts of our history. We've probably talked about losing power in at least 4 of them, if not more.
It's pretty regular.
So we're driving home, and then there was a line, I guess, across the road. So we had to turn around, drive on the roads that I assumed the movie Wrong Turn came out of. And then it took us an extra half hour to get home. So it's very hot, and we didn't have power for about 2 hours.
Yeah, it wasn't too long. It came on earlier than they said they predicted it to be. And
this is how I can tell that I've become finally accustomed to this area, that I was like, Oh, wow. I was like, for a holiday, like, they got that power back to us quickly. It wasn't even out that
You're
long.
one of us now.
I guess so. So, happy 4th of July. And now it is Halloween time.
Oh, gosh.
Summerween. It's a thing.
That's not a term. That's
Yes,
not
it
a thing
is.
people say. No one says summerween.
More people say Summerween than Glizzies.
I doubt that very seriously.
Okay. Well, let's get into it. Before we get started on some episodes, we watched not a new show, but a new season of a show this weekend. Caught up with the boys, caught up with the Acolytes. Do you want to get into some fan mail? Because
Yeah, we got some fan mail. We got some rank 5s. One's for me, one's for you. We'll read the message that come along with them last. I think I'm up first.
Okay, so I'm going to click here. I'm going to cover this.
I'm ready.
All right, so your blind 5 is about best steaks.
Is that just best steaks?
Best, I mean, like from like
Cuts?
restaurants.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
Wait, restaurants? Any restaurants? Or are we talking like?
there's a mix of restaurants.
All right. Okay.
I probably gave away too much.
Okay. Mix of steaks from a restaurant. Hit me. This is in my wheelhouse now. All this stupid TV stuff and all this stupid sports stuff. Let's talk steak.
California Grill.
That's on top of the Contemporary at Disney World, right?
Yes.
I've only had that steak once.
I thought we've eaten there twice, but maybe.
And it was fine. I don't really remember it so well, and
This is a ranking, not an essay contest. You're doing what I do. Oh my gosh, it's because you care. You actually care about steaks. So you're giving explanations.
I don't know what else is on the list, so I'm 4.
Okay. Le Cellier.
Also a Disney World banger.
Yes. And you have eaten there several times.
I have eaten there several times, including
like,
pretty
month.
recently. Yeah. I'm going to go 1. I'm giving my 1 slot away right now.
I like their soup there.
Yeah.
All right. Be our guest.
Be our guest.
Not eat their last trip, but we have eaten there before.
These are Disneyland steak places, aren't they?
Disney World.
Disney World, sorry. Be our guest. It was good. But the last time we had it, it was not as good. And I'm going to go ahead and drop it to 5.
Okay.
I'm giving it away.
You're giving it the 5 slot.
I'm giving it to 5.
All right. Outback Steakhouse.
Listen, I'm here to tell you, everybody, right now, Outback makes a good steak.
I like their Aussie cheese fries.
I haven't been to an Outback in a long time. So
the last
I don't
time
know.
we went, it wasn't great, though.
I don't know if quality is falling in a significant way in the last 4 years, because I think that's how long it's been since I've been to an Outback. I'll go to the 3 spot.
Okay.
I wonder what I stuck myself with 2.
Cinderella's Royal Table.
Yeah, I can live with that.
I think you can
I
live.
can live with
you
that.
Nailed it. Honestly.
I can live with that.
I think you might have switched. Be Our Guest and Outback Steakhouse.
So what was my order was Le Cellier, Cinderella's Royal Table, Outback, California Grill, and
Be Our Guest.
Be Our Guest.
Yeah, I think you might have switched Be Our Guest and Outback in real life.
Yeah, maybe.
I want Be Our Guest to go back to, I know you weren't as big a fan of this, but I liked it when it was the quick service lunch. You still had to get a reservation, but they had those sandwiches, the cupcakes. I liked the lunch food way better than the dinner food. And if you don't like steak, there's not a lot for you to eat at Be Our Guest. I love like the atmosphere at Be Our Guest. Like, it's so cool. It does make you feel like the movie. So I think if you've never eaten there before, it's worth it, especially if you're a Beauty and the Beast fan.
I agree.
But I think it has, I think it has gone downhill. And remember that potato leek soup that I liked?
Mm-hmm.
They removed that off the menu in April. And I was like, I liked the French onion soup, so I was still excited about that. But I really liked that potato leek soup. So you mess with my soup, because I'll eat soup on a balmy 90-degree day in Disney. I love soup. That's what I get at Le Cellier. I get the soup for my entree.
All right, next up we got one for Hope.
Oh, great. I'm so bad at these. You know what? I'm not good at it because I'm very opinionated and I like rankings and I like to get things right. So if I get these wrong, I will tell you.
There's no right or wrong. It's the entertainment.
I guess.
It's the fun. It's why we're here.
It's fun.
It's fun. It's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun. Summer Olympic events.
Oh, gosh. I liked them all. Okay.
So, first up, you've got skateboarding.
Skateboarding. Ooh.
Dead air.
I like them all, though. Like, it's really hard. I'm just going to give it 4.
Skateboarding out of 4. Okay. Next, we've got gymnastics.
Ooh.
Now, what are you gonna do?
So I like gymnastics and track so much equally, but I feel because they don't show the distance events in track as much as I would like them to do so, it's less entertaining. So I'm going to go the 1 slot for gymnastics.
Giving gymnastics the 1.
Yeah,
Okay,
I am.
All right.
Because they show me. They don't. I will sit there for an hour and watch somebody run. Well, I guess these people don't take an hour for their 10Ks. I will sit there for like 30 minutes and watch, but they don't show me the whole thing. So gymnastics, I get to see the whole all-around competition. So 1.
Water polo.
Ooh, I love water polo.
I can't say that I have ever watched water polo.
Gosh. Oh, I'm going to give it 3.
Water polo at the 3.
Water polo is fun, man.
Just to remind you, we've got skateboarding. You've given
4.
that 4. Gymnastics 1. Water polo 3. Sport climbing.
I don't know what that is. So what is sport climbing?
I think that's like rock climbing, but just for sport, like as fast as you can.
I'm going to go ahead and give that the 5 slot.
All right.
But I'm going to make sure I watch that this year because I don't think I've seen that very much.
I don't know if it's new, but I definitely have seen it where they're like on an
NBC did,
but it's not outdoor. They're on one of the indoor climbing walls
for the Summer Olympics,
and they have the rope and they're just trying to get up to the top as fast as possible.
That sounds really cool. I'm going to give it the 5 slot just because I feel like I haven't watched it enough to give it my full opinion.
That's fair.
So what's landing in my 2 slot?
Number 2 spot is the trampoline.
Okay, that I could live with that.
So you've got gymnastics, trampoline, water polo, skateboarding, and sport climb.
Yeah, and if I end up liking sport climb, then eventually I'll switch it out. I used my brain. I was like, I bet she's not putting track or swimming on there, which would be my 2 in actual 3 slots.
See, now you're playing the game better. Now here's the comment that came along with it, and I assume this is in reference to the last blind rank we did with
where
the sports
I actually
teams.
knew I was going to get screwed and I let it happen because I have faith in society.
By the way, this is our friend from Charlotte, North Carolina. After listening to Hope in today's Blind 5, I'd like to reiterate that Hope isn't good at the game. I think you did a lot better today.
I do.
I think you did a lot better
Came
today.
ready to swing today.
She has too much invested in getting it right, and as a recovering people pleaser, she forgets that people are, in fact, the worst. It's okay to be bad at it, Hope. I like that about you. The rest of us are untrustworthy.
People are the worst. I'll definitely say, though, with Olympics, like when it comes to like the Winter Olympics, a lot of people think curling is boring. I could sit there and watch curling or like cross-country skiing, which I feel like people consider those the boring ones, for like 4 hours because I just like the Olympics.
So I'm proud of you on this one because you didn't assume track was in there.
I did. You know what? I was like, I bet she didn't put it in there.
So you went ahead and gave gymnastics the ranking that you needed to, not knowing if track was there or not, and that's the right way to play the game. And you did a good job.
Exactly. But I do stand by that. Like track, I would probably for watchability, because they don't show me everything I want to show in track, and it's annoying to me.
Like we're the kind of people.
They show me like the 400 and the one. I want to see the distance.
We're the kind of people if they live aired the marathon the entirety.
We watched the entirety of the trials.
We just sit there and watch it. We would just watch people running.
Again, those people are going much faster than what we did.
I mean,
for our marathon,
used to watch the 3 to 4 hours of Tour de France coverage every July. So and just sit there and watch like just people riding on their bikes. Like I don't know what it is about it.
This is why we're gonna have to get Peacock.
But
back.
I'm not going to take criticism of that because there are people that watch NASCAR and that's just cars going around in a circle.
Well, this is why we're gonna have to get Peacock back because that's how we were able to watch the entirety of the marathon trials instead of like the few clips they show. Mm-hmm. My biggest issue with the winter, I felt like they did a little bit better of a job for the Winter Olympics. I don't know why. Maybe it's because there's less on TV. But the last Summer Olympics in Tokyo, I felt like NBC did not hardly show anything like on their primetime stations. Or it'd be like, and I understand when you have like a time barrier, like stuff's going to be like spoiled. But when was it? Would it have been the London Olympics, I think, where obviously everybody knew who won in gymnastics, and I was like that episode of How I Met Your Mother where they didn't know the results of the Super Bowl, and I was like, nobody tell me. And like I was like working an event that day, and I like someone started to talk to me about it. I'm like, do not talk to me about this. I was like, I want to watch it and be surprised. So then I'm watching it, and like a commercial spoils it for me like partway through, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, like, on the replay, yeah.
Because I do really get like I remember in Atlanta, like watching the Magnificent Seven, that is like a core memory for me. And then of course Michael Johnson, like
that's the one I was about to say.
Track. Like that, I really like remember those so well, and it was just like awesome moments, and I liked watching it. Like obviously it was easier because it was in Atlanta, so it was like easier to be live for us. But so there's people that have suggested the Mrs. Davis show.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Our content's starting to run dry. We're going to get Peacock soon because the Olympics are coming up at the end of the month, so we should be good to go.
Yeah, we'll get to some of those shows. So we need something to watch because we're drawing to the end of Suits for better or worse. So we're running out of a everyday fill-in show. So yeah,
so sad.
We've got several shows to talk about here today. I think we should just dive right in. What do you want to go with first?
Let's go with That 90s Show.
Okay, That 90s Show came out of nowhere. Season
Forgot
2.
about it completely.
Completely forgot about That 90s Show season 2. This is one of the second shows that can say we've covered the entire show on this podcast.
Yes, we have.
Came out of nowhere, 8 episodes.
They didn't promote it well.
Boo, hiss, boo, 8 episodes. They're barely 20 minutes long each.
I feel like, it came out against the Bear over that weekend, so you already have that stacked against you, which more of you people need to go and watch the Bear. That's all I'm saying. Go watch the Bear. Don't listen to the critics that are talking about this season because we still thought it was good. Go watch the Bear and then go listen to last week's episode. Anyway, moving on. We just kept kind of forgetting about it. And part 1 came out, like we said, last year. You can watch. It's one of our very first podcasts that we did that you can listen to. I was excited for it. I'm a huge That 70s Show fan. So I liked the first season. This, again, just goes back to my complaint about comedies on streaming.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it like a 25-minute comedy and you're only going to give me like 8 or 10 episodes, it's just not enough. And this one, I didn't realize, I guess, that they were doing they call it part 2. I didn't realize that they were doing a part 3 already and that we're getting that in October. So, like, the last episode, there was, like, really no cliffhanger. It was just kind of ended. And I'm like, oh, well, is this show going? And there was like, oh, part 3 coming in October. So I don't know if it's going to get past the 3 parts because I don't feel like a lot of people are talking about it. I'm not sure the future looks so great.
No, I my recommendation to them for part 3 would be wrap it up because I don't think they're getting any more.
I would love, but see, I think they've already filmed it, and I know like Topher Grace's schedule, like he wasn't able to come on, so it's just Donna that shows up of like the old kids, and I would have liked to seen him one more time interact with his mom and dad, the Foremans and Leia, but. I mean, it was fine. Like, I'm going to give it to you. Like, it was perfectly enjoyable. I laughed at each episode that I saw. It's going to be one of those things that I'll forget that it exists until October rolls around, and then we're looking for something to watch, and then we'll watch it in a week again.
To me, it didn't hit as hard as the first season. I felt like they did a better job. Really, honestly, this season, like, when it was, like, the last episode, I was like, wait, what?
Do you think it didn't?
What happened? What happened?
They weren't relying on nostalgia as much since we didn't have as many. Like the first season, we had Jackie and Kelso, Eric, Donna. Like we had more.
Oh, that nostalgia. Okay, like, because there's 2 different nostalgia things that are in play with this show. There's the nostalgia of characters from the original show. Then there's just the nostalgia of it's set in the 90s.
Period. I'm talking about the characters of the original show.
I think so. I think they brought in like Bob as a more regular character.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that, but he's not enough of a likable character to like carry something like this.
Yeah.
They had some people pop up here and there, but they really did depend more on the kids. And
I believe the kids are funny.
The kids are funny, but I believe my comment from the first season was none of the kids stuck out to me as much as the kids from the first show when it comes to their characterization and personality.
And I think that's
Leia being the exception, just because that actress is doing such a good job of being the offspring of Donna and Eric.
I think you're always going to feel that way, though, and I think I'm always going to feel that way because we liked That 70s Show so much. I have noticed where I've like creeped around on Twitter and Reddit and stuff, and a lot of people that watch it, like and TikTok, a lot of like the younger generation that are watching it, they are really invested in the kids, kind of like what we were. Like a lot of people were really upset about that the love triangle that they ended season 1 with kind of fizzled, which I'm cool with it because I feel like, I mean, I always forget until we go back and do our like we always watch all Christmas episodes of our favorite shows every year. So we always watch the season 1 episode of that 70s show, which is one of the funniest Christmas episodes. And every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, I always forget that like Hyde had a thing for Donna, because that was just such a nothing burger after season 1. And they had more time to devote to Hyde liking Donna in season 1 because they had more episodes. So the end of that 90s show, part 1, ended with Leia almost kissing Gwen's brother Nate, who's Jay's best friend, who Jay's her boyfriend. So that was kind of addressed and basically done in like the first episode of the season. And I was fine with it because I don't watch shows like that for a lot of heavy drama. Like even when Jackie had a love triangle with Hyde and Kelso in that 70s show, they did it like humorous. It was still funny and comical just because Kelso's such a dope. So I think it was like I wouldn't, but again, I'm not like the teenager watching this. So a lot of people were really annoyed that she and Nate didn't have anything, where I'm like, whatever, they're kids. I think I'm looking at more from like an adult lens now. And I'm like, yeah, they're just kids.
Right. I think if they ended the season last season with that cliffhanger,
they could always circle back in part 3.
Yeah, I feel like they wrapped it up maybe a little bit too quickly from the drama side. They could have drawn that out a little bit more. Maybe another
episode.
Yeah, I think that would have been okay. All right, so my favorite part of the season.
I wonder if it's the same favorite part of the season that I had.
I don't know. Hot topic.
Oh, okay. So mine's Yellow Wendy's.
Okay.
You go on with that topic.
So, and if you're a younger person listening, which I don't think our demographics support that, the first question I had.
Daniel just called y'all old.
The first question I had when they walked into the mall and they went to Hot Topic.
Yes, because Gwen works there. Leia was wanting to get a job
and
there.
it was the Hot Topic of the 90s, which is not the Hot Topic we think of now. It was like the full-on goth heavy metal Hot Topic.
Yeah.
And I really love that.
That's kind of how it was like when we were in school.
Yeah, like how many people, if there are younger people watching it, who saw that and went,
confused.
What? That's not what's at Hot Topic.
I remember Hot Topic and Gadzooks. Do you remember Gadzooks?
I don't think we had a Gadzooks around me.
And it was kind of more like alternative, like clothing. And that's kind of like, now Hot Topic is like where I go if I want to get cute Disney stuff. Because it is so different.
Yeah,
but
it's a lot
I did
different.
Like that. And we had Seth Green, who did appear in that 70s show, kind of an enemy of Eric. So obviously Leia's like, no, my mom and dad are not Eric and Donna Foreman, because she wanted to work there. My favorite was and now we're getting into the nostalgia of the 90s with Yellow Wendy's. Nothing hit like Yellow Wendy's. They have the scene where they're going over to apologize, Leia, for like almost kissing Nikki, that's her name, Nikki's boyfriend, and they all have the Frosties and the Yellow Wendy's cups. Nothing hit like Yellow Wendy's. It was a simpler time. We had the greenhouse that you could go eat in. They used to have like a salad bar. Remember the chili chips and cheese, the pitas? Yellow Wendy's hit like no other. And I do think that 90s show, from that perspective, they do a really good job of diving into the nostalgia of the time period. And I've seen some people are like, why are they doing that? The thing is, that 70s show did the exact same thing. It was just we were so invested in the actual characters, we didn't care. And I always just thought that was
didn't get it.
Yeah, or we didn't get it. It was like when they like referenced Star Wars, like obviously I understood that. But they did stupid little skits like that all the time, and probably we didn't get it. And now, like, they did the Lisa Loeb video, like, you say. I'm not going to sing.
Has Titanic come out yet? In the show's timeline? I don't think it has, because it's 96 right now in the show, right?
I would love for that. Yeah, and I think
just remember the Star
97.
Wars, the episode in the original show where Star Wars came out was a good episode, and I was trying to think what would be like a one-to-one.
Okay, they didn't. We're close to Titanic.
Yeah, we got to be close.
They referenced the Lisa Loeb video, but they also, speaking of Mr. Leonardo DiCaprio, they referenced Romeo and Juliet, the Claire Danes version.
Okay, so they got to be close.
Because when Red has that episode where he has like the heart incident, and they go to the hospital and they see so they show this big fish tank in the waiting room. And literally, I was thinking it before they showed it. I was like, that fish tank reminds me of the Romeo and Juliet, the Claire Danes version, fish tank. And then they totally did that. And I love it when they do stuff like that. Like season 1, they did the whole 902. They even did the 90210 opening sequence. Loved that. They referenced, we got a Blossom reference, Lisa Loeb reference, Romeo and Juliet reference, and Mentos.
Oh, yeah.
They did like the Mentos reference.
I just feel like
Shake and Bake.
If they,
Carmen Electra randomly showed up.
Oh man, now I'm kind of upset if they don't get another season, because if we're in 96 right now,
Yeah, I don't.
They only do this via summers.
Yeah.
So they got to get to 97.
Because Leia lives in Chicago with her parents.
They've got to get to 97 to have Titanic come out. And that's like that is the Star Wars level event of the late 90s.
So now we need to get to a part 4 just so they can get to that. I remember when I was in school, like boys in my class would go like, draw me. Would like lean back against the desk because to us it was just like so scandalous to see the scene of the drawing.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know I don't know if the 90s got away with so much. I don't know if we can do it anymore.
A great time.
I mean, we'd have to get a lot of seasons.
They've already referenced, I think, Free Willy in the first season.
Now we'd have to get a lot of seasons. See, that's not one of my core 90s events.
Oh, I love Free Willy.
They're already past Jurassic Park, which is my core 90s, and then they need to get to 99 for the Phantom Menace to drop.
And then that's how you bring back Eric Foreman for an episode.
Exactly. He goes
Leia's
to take
middle name is Tatooine.
He goes to take Leia to the Phantom
Foreman.
Menace. Exactly. That's how they should end the show. They just need to get there. Because those are my 2 core movie memories from the 90s. It was Jurassic Park and the Phantom Menace.
Got it. Anyway, I would say that 90s show, perfectly entertaining. I enjoyed it. I'll forget about it, and then I'll enjoy it again. I think I like the kids. I think it's funny. I don't know.
If you are listening to this podcast and you have core 90s memories, and let's face it, we know you all do.
You all do.
Fan mail us in and tell us your best core 90s memories, specifically TV movie events that just really stick with you.
All right. So what's up next?
I think we got to go Thirst Trap.
So speaking of Star Wars, we have Star Wars: The Acolyte, and this show just
Episode
keeps
6.
Getting better and better and better. I thought for a second that Disney Plus was taking a page from, I always want to say HBO Max, but it's just Max. We'll just say HBO. With that little scene in like the lake with, how do you say his name?
You thought you were about to see some cheeks.
I thought, yeah. I was like, oh my. And then he's like, if you're not going to join me. And I'm like, I'll join you.
To catch everybody up on what's happening.
How do you say his name again?
Kamir, who is the stranger.
The stranger, yes.
Took Osha hostage to his home, it's not his home planet, but where his base is hanging out. And she wakes up and finds him taking a bath.
He didn't tie her up or anything.
And she's peeking on him.
She was just woke up and he's in there and he knows she's watching. Talk about being seduced by the dark side, baby. And but he so he notices, he's like, if you're not gonna join me. And when he said that, this episode was for, even if this isn't where it goes, this episode was for those of us girlies that love a good enemies to lovers trope. I'm just going to forget that he killed some of the other people because he's
some of the other people.
But he has
just
good,
like you
good reasons.
You conveniently forget that Anakin killed a few Jedi younglings.
Was manipulated and tricked into all of those things. Anyway, give me a baddie in a Star Wars. It was that little scene where she holds the lightsaber against him and he kind of lets her, and then he just so daintily caresses her arm. Give me a fan.
You were having straight up Bridgerton palpitations over there as you were watching this episode.
This was for the enemies to lovers girlies. This was for those of us that did wish something would have come of Reylo. It was good. I don't think they're going to redeem this guy at all, but I really liked it. The episode, not just for that, we got a little bit more backstory. Also, Daniel and I can't pronounce names, as you guys know. I asked Daniel specifically before we started. I was like, is it May or Maya? And he's like, it's Maya, to Osha's twin. No, it's May. So whenever this comes out in the supercut, before we introduce this section, we need to be like, oh, by the way, we mean May, Osha's twin,
and that storyline with her and Soul wasn't particularly interesting.
No,
until
the very end. Go back.
Until the very end.
Yes.
Because at the very end, so Saul either realizes it's her or knew it was the whole time.
I think
there's
he knew.
Some ambiguity there. And then
I think he was feeling it out.
The Jedi are coming to investigate, and he just bounces right before they get there.
Do you think he's figured something out, or do you think he's the baddie? I don't think he's bad.
I don't think he's the baddie.
I think Green Girl's bad.
I don't think she's Sith bad, but I think she is definitely his former master, because we did find out in this episode that he was a Jedi.
Yes.
And is now not a Jedi.
And in the little scene with him looking good in the lake, you see this like scar across his back, and apparently he got it because he was like whipped with like a lightsaber, and then they show her in another scene, which you pointed that out. I didn't even notice that. You had to tell me that she kind of like used her lightsaber as like a whip.
Yeah.
And
she's also got that purple blade.
Yeah.
Which is rare, and at least in EU continuity, kind of signifies the user is capable of kind of dipping into the dark side a little bit, but not fully. I don't know if that still stands with the post-Disney acquisition or not. But
so what do we think? Do we think he's actually Sith, or do we think this could be the theory that people are floating around that this is part of the Knights of Ren? Disney loves their sequels, so it would not surprise me.
He is the Acolyte.
And he wants his own Acolyte?
Yeah, I don't think Osha or May are the Acolyte. I believe he is the Acolyte to a Sith Lord.
Do you think we're going to meet the Sith Lord, the big baddie?
The showrunner said we will be meeting 2 people with red lightsabers in this show.
Okay.
So, unless it's somebody like Soul or the Green Girl that we've already met, which I don't believe it's going to be either one of those. I think the Green Girl's story is...
I think they're trying to make us think it's Soul's bad.
Yes, I do. I agree. They're trying to misdirect us that direction. I think they're going to drop either Darth Tenebrous, who was Darth Plagueis' master, or Darth Plagueis at the end of this series.
I would love that, but I feel like Disney just doesn't seem to like the prequels very much, so I don't know if we'd be so lucky.
Yeah.
So you don't think they're going to go the Knights of Ren?
I don't think they're going to go that direction.
If they do that, will you be mad? You told me you had some choice words for that when we were talking about that outside of this podcast.
So, if,
Let's rant about the sequels again. Go ahead.
Who cares about the Knights of Ren? They were name dropped a few times in The Force Awakens, completely disappeared in The Last Jedi, and showed up randomly, suddenly out of nowhere, in The Rise of Skywalker, and they were completely uninteresting. So
well, I guess we shall see.
If they're not interesting to me, I don't care. And I think that it's more interesting that Khmer is a former Jedi who is trying to become a Sith, but he's not there yet. And I think
on the eyes.
He screwed up by not killing all of the Jedi. Like, Soul got away. He screwed up, and I think his master is going to come and be like, okay, fine, you screwed up.
Don't you think he's so soft and gentle with Osha, though, and it's just so nice to see?
Maybe they'll run away together.
I would love that. That's not going to happen, though. I would want to point out, though, because I feel like a lot of people on TikTok were saying they weren't into him until they saw his arms and his little Sith dress. I liked him before we even knew it was, like, when he was just being sarcastic. Like, I was into, you give me sarcasm, red flag. Like, it was just all very nice. And I can't believe, like, this is where I'm at with the Acolyte, that I'm actually anticipating the Acolyte more than I am the boys each week. Not that I dislike the boys. It's just the Acolyte has me fully sucked in, and I didn't think I was going to like this show at all. So,
I'll be interested.
Give me a baddie.
We've got 2 episodes left. I will be interested to see, 1, how they end it, and 2, if how they end it can lead to a season 2, or is this like a one-off?
Yes.
And with how much hate it's got from certain parts of the Star Wars fandom, whether they even go for a season 2. But a lot of that has shut up since the last couple episodes. So maybe they've recognized these last few episodes have been of higher quality, and that they just need to be patient, because the first couple episodes were slower, but they were setting stuff up. I think a lot of people forgot that, like, they have to make these shows so they appeal to both hardcore fans and also your casual people who just see, a Star Wars, and decide to watch it. And so you have to introduce people to a time period in Star Wars that is 100 years before anything we've seen before. They need to understand what the Jedi Order is like, what the Republic is like. All this stuff needs to be explained, because you can't just go in assuming.
But like Marvel does?
That everybody knows everything.
That's what Marvel's like, you better watch all of our shows or you're going to be
confused. That's a big problem Marvel has right now.
I agree. I am excited for the next, where Soul's about to tell May the truth.
Yes, I think that's what we're getting this episode.
Then they were like, roll credits.
Yeah, so I think we're going to get the other side of that Braddock story and find out what actually happened. I'm going to be interested to see if that's where maybe another red lightsaber user shows up in that flashback. I don't know.
See. It's good, though. I think everybody should watch it. Next up, The Boys.
They're here. This was this episode had what I think is the highest of highs and the lowest of lows for this show.
Agreed.
I before we get to the lows, I want to talk about the high because I feel strongly it was maybe the best single scene
in the series.
in the entire series.
So we have A-Train, who has been working with, our boys, the boys, and we think A-Train is working towards a redemption arc, and it was a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
Marvin, he kind of like he didn't have a heart attack.
It was a panic attack, they find out. We didn't know at the time what it was. He just kind of fell over.
We weren't sure because they were infiltrating this party at this really weird party at Tech Knight's house. And he fell over, collapsed, and Kimiko convinced A-Train is like, you got to get him out of here. You got to get him to a hospital. So he his quick little running got him to the hospital. And just this moment of this kid seeing A-Train deliver Marvin to the ambulance, just kind of like smiled, like seeing your hero in real life do something heroic. And A-Train's done all those movies, but like what his nephews were saying and his brother, like all the saves were like that they see were fake.
Yeah.
They were in the movies. They were set up, and he got to actually feel like a true hero. And that kid smiled at him, and he kind of smiled back. And that was the moment we all know that A-Train is cooked by the end of the season. Sucks.
But I hate it. Yeah, it was like a 5-second scene. No words were spoken. It was just a couple different short pans between his face and the kid's face. It was beautiful. But you're right. A-Train is cooked by the end of the season.
And I think, though, that he's going to go out a hero, and I think people are going to see it. They wouldn't have talked about his nephews and how he wants to be viewed to them. I feel like they wouldn't have inserted those scenes.
Mm-hmm.
If whatever happens, I think A-Train's going to take a shot. He's going to be the Brutus. He's going to take a shot at Homelander. He's going to do something. It's going to be caught on tape. People are going to know about it. That's going to be how we go into the next season. So I do think A-Train's going to go out a hero. At least I hope so. I hope
so because I think
I hate to lose him as a character.
Well, yeah,
though.
as dark as this show can be, and as realistic as this show can be about basically saying no one's really all good and no one's really all bad. At some point, I feel like to really have a satisfying conclusion, a couple actual heroic acts need to be taken, even if they're not by heroic people. And I think A-Train is the perfect example of this. We have hated him multiple times on this show, but I think he's one of the ones on the 7 that can truly come back, because I think inside him deeply,
I think he always felt bad about what he did to Huey's first girlfriend. Like, there was always that guilt, but he was trying to push it down because they're so scared of Homelander and what Homelander can do to them.
So I hope that we get I hope we get that turn from him. I hope he gets a moment, and I hope that we get a few more of those moments next season to kind of start. It's still going to be bad, and I still think ultimately, like someone like Butcher, he's not going to get a hero moment so much as just getting even.
I don't think all hope is lost for Victoria Newman.
No, I don't think so either.
She doesn't know about the actual plans, which we'll get into that in a minute. But let's go ahead before we get into the twist, and I put in air quotes the twist because we don't think it was much of a twist. Let's get into the ick of the episode. Let's go ahead and get it out of the way. I didn't love all the basement scenes at Tech Knight's house. I know the boys likes to go for shock value.
This seemed a bit much.
Felt it was a bit much, and I think that it was almost like making a joke of male essay, and I don't.
For everybody who is listening and hasn't watched and doesn't care about the spoilers, Huey went into Tech Knight's mansion disguised as another superhero.
Kind of like a Spider-Man.
As a Spider-Man type. Tech Knight is like the Batman of this world. He ends up in the basement with the Tech Knight guy because Tech Knight apparently invited this
and
superhero.
Ashley, who was the head of all.
To become his new sidekick. And he ends up strapped to a table.
And Ashley doesn't have superpowers.
Yeah.
She's just crazy.
In kind of an S&M situation. And Ashley gets to perform a few acts upon him without his consent.
It wasn't funny.
It wasn't funny, no.
And if they had just done like the scene of the tickling the feet and then we could be done with it, it went on way too long. It wasn't funny. And you had at the end of the episode where Huey's talking to Starlight and he's like, yeah, I'm not okay. And he starts crying because of everything with his dad, the trauma that he just went through with that experience being in Tech Knight's house. And he thought at one point he was going to die too when Tech Knight realized it was him.
Mm-hmm.
So we had that. So I think that was kind of them recognizing it. But I felt like they were honestly making a mockery of it. And I think if that had been a female character, they know that would not have gone over well and they wouldn't have done that. And it was kind of disappointing for me. I know the show goes for shock value, and I'm not trying to be like a prude or anything like that, but it was too much.
It wasn't, but the thing is, it wasn't shocking.
Yeah.
And they could have, like you said, they could have stopped. They should have shown Ashley start to tickle his feet and then just cut and go back to the other stuff and then come back later. And they didn't have to go through all that. And just, it didn't shock me. It was just like,
it was too much. It grossed me out.
Yeah.
And I didn't care for it. I didn't like the way it was done. I didn't like that they were like, because you know that they were expecting some people to laugh in those scenes. And I didn't find it funny. And there's a lot of like, I can laugh with the crude joke with the best of them, but that's not something that I find funny, and I'm not going to laugh about it. And I was disappointed that the boys did that.
For an example of crude jokes that Hope can laugh at, they spent...
Give me a good fart joke.
You spent, a good 10 minutes asking the Alexa at your aunt's house to play fart noises?
Give me a good fart joke.
To the delight of everyone.
Yeah, at the 4th of July party. And this was like all the older people in the family were in on it too, I guess. So we had our Nevin, we were just like egging him on, like, ask Alexa for an example of like a fart, and she'd be like, do you want to hear a crispy fart? Do you want to hear a relaxed fart? And like that's what we did for a good 20 minutes. That's how we celebrated America, by talking about farts. Like, give me a good fart joke any day, but just not. I didn't jive with that. But we did find out kind of what Homelander and Sage's plan was, that they want to put people in like camps.
Dissidents. Anybody that doesn't agree with them, they'll put them in the camps.
Anybody that doesn't agree with their agenda, they want to stick them in camps. But Victoria Newman doesn't know this. So she stepped in to give the speech to some of these political leaders, because this was all at Tech Knight's party. So while he was down there doing creepy, weird crap, they were trying to meet with these like politicians. Speaker of the House was one of them. Yeah. Yeah. And Sage, who shot Sage in the...
Marvin did.
And that's what caused his panic attack. Yeah. So she can't really contribute. So Victoria Newman steps in, gives this speech. You can tell that's made Homelander mad, because he's still not viewed as the effective leader that he wants to be. And that obviously messed with his head. And then, of course, he knows that the party was infiltrated. He knows that the leak really wasn't the one guy that they killed, that it's somebody else. Yeah. And then we have the creepy scene with him and Firecracker, where she's like, I think she's going to die too.
Now, see, that's the kind of creepy I come to this show for, though.
I think she's going to die too, though, because she made that comment about how she's taking the hormones to produce breast milk, and she's like, and it gives me an enlarged heart. So I think they didn't say that.
They didn't say that line in there for nothing. So, yeah, it's like I said, the episode was the best and the worst.
So now she's controlling him again, because obviously the whole milk thing is he didn't have a mother's love. And now let's get to the twist that everybody can see him coming a mile away. Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character, who Butcher used to work with and has been supposedly helping Butcher out, is in fact a figment of Butcher's imagination, brought on by the V that Butcher had taken last season that's rotting his brain. So he had been seeing Becca, his dead wife. She's kind of the angel on the shoulder. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is the devil on the shoulder. We've thought this the entire time, especially last week, and they confirmed that. And not only did they confirm it, they did it.
Oh, they hammered it home.
They did it the Stranger Things way. You want to explain the Stranger Things way?
When Vecna was revealed to be one, they had to go so far as to actually like zoom in on his forearm to show the little tattoo of the one, and that's how far they went to make sure that you understood that Jeffrey Dean Morgan was just a figment of his imagination.
They went through all these scenes, and I feel like everybody could see that coming. So, and it just seemed like to me, the boys thought that was gonna, like the writers thought that was gonna be shocking the way they did it reveal, and we're like, oh, finally it's revealed. And then they had Jeffrey Dean Morgan say something that I'm like, did they have them say this as a wink to a previous character that he played, or were they really not thinking? There's no way. So let's walk it back. The first thing I ever saw Jeffrey Dean Morgan on was he played Denny Duquette on Grey's Anatomy. It was a heartbreaking, tragic storyline. His character passed away in the season 2 finale. It was devastating to all of us. And then Denny Duquette starts showing up as a ghost, so to speak, in season 5. Well, it turns out he wasn't a ghost. He was Izzy Stevens, beloved Izzy Stevens, wonderful character. She had a brain tumor, and he was basically like her tumor. Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character on The Boys actually said, I'm your tumor to Butcher. And I'm like, is Jeffrey Dean Morgan just going to start putting that on like on a resume? Like the fact that they actually caught it the tumor. Like, do you think that was a wink to people that watch Grey's?
Showing up as a tumor character twice isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think that it was a wink to people that watch Grey's?
I think it was probably a wink, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Now Butcher knows that he's not real. The one guy basically told Butcher that Butcher's plan to have, like, the virus that they want to make can't happen because it would eradicate all the soups.
To make it powerful enough to kill Homelander, it would basically kill all the superheroes.
Global pandemic style.
Yes, global pandemic style.
And they even referenced that.
Yep.
Because they had Jeffrey D. Morgan's character be like, all right, global pandemic. The show is always just so on the nose. People that are like, I can't believe that season 4 is being so, like, straight up about politics. I'm like, have y'all been watching? They've done this the entire time.
Yeah, they have.
And I don't think they've ever been subtle about it at all.
Media literacy. That's all I'll say. So I'm looking forward to this week's episode and hopefully we got 2 left.
Yeah.
And I think we'll hopefully put this episode behind us.
We didn't really get anything about Frenchie other than he was refusing visitors in prison because he turned himself in for murder. I'm waiting for the gang to come back together at some point. I think my biggest issue with The Boys right now, and like I said, I'm still enjoying the episodes, last week's episode aside, I feel like because we know we're getting another season that the writers are in a stall pattern. I've had issues. Lucifer did this. The quality of the show declines when you stretch out the story. We're kind of in that holding pattern, and that's how this season has felt.
Well, at least we know that season 5 is it, so there's no more holding.
We know that is the last season for
Season 5 is the last season.
Confirmed.
Okay. By the producer. So that means that there will be no more holding patterns.
Season 5 will probably be bananas.
Hopefully.
So...
All right. After that, we have continued our journey into Suits Land.
Yes.
We finished season 8 and jumped into season 9. I'm going to take my headphones off so that she doesn't blow my eardrums out. Go ahead and talk about Harvey and Donna.
Finally. I can't imagine watching the show in real time if I had to wait that long. I had seen some spoilery clips before, so I kind of assumed, like, and I'm pretty sure I'd actually seen a clip of, like, their love scene that they had in the season 8 finale before. I just wasn't sure what it was in reference to. If it, like, what, where of it. Finally, Harvey and Donna, after all this time, Harvey finally woke up, came to his senses, realized all along what's been in front of him all this time, and he and Donna, and it was hot. It was so, their hookup was so much better than Mike and Rachel's. Like, it just felt like we waited so long for it to really happen in real time. I felt like the chemistry was off the charts. It was very well earned. What did you think of it?
Between Star Wars,
if you say it was fine, I'm coming over there.
Between Star Wars and this episode of the Suits, you had yourself a week.
I did. What did you think of their?
It's a good thing.
If you say it was fine, I'm going to come rip your headphones off. What did you think of the long-awaited Harvey and Donna finally are together?
It was okay.
Is okay better than fine? I don't remember.
You know, that's not why I don't watch the shows for the shipping. You understand that, right?
Well, I do. And it was wonderful. And I loved it. I think season 8 felt kind of weird.
Yeah. No Mike.
Because no Mike was weird. I think Katherine Heigl is a good addition. We lost Robert at the end of season 8. I loved Robert.
Yeah, and it seemed abrupt. So I don't know.
But they did do what I wanted them to do. Final boss. Bring back in Daniel Hartman.
Sure, yeah. They did that.
That's good. I think Mike's got to show up in season 9, right? At some point.
If you said he shows up again after his departure, then yeah.
I need to know the time. They're working with some weird time on Suits because we have Lewis's, is it his fiancée, Sheila, who is fully showing, and is pregnant with Lewis's child. But we've got the other character, Brian, who I think he's pieced out. He's done. He played Craig Manning on Degrassi. He had a baby, I felt like, seasons ago, and that baby was still like an infant, like a newborn. I'm like, your baby would at least be a toddler by now. What is time on this show? Who knows?
A fair watch is over, as he has left the firm.
Be quiet. Why do you say it like that?
Because you were sitting there like just rooting for that relationship.
I was not, but they did have good scenes, and it was very disappointing. They should have had him like separated so he and Katrina could have been together. That would have been nice. It just made me feel bad. I hope they get. I don't know, like with one season left to go, is Katrina gonna get any other character stuff? Because like she's kind of left on a sad note.
But the thing, I will say Suits is a show that gets 16 to 18 episodes regularly, and they're they're 40-minute episodes. I feel like if they wanted to give her a satisfying end-game relationship, they could probably pull something off, but they would have needed to start already, and so far what we've seen in season 9, they haven't. So I don't know that I anticipate that happening.
Maybe she and Katherine Heigl could be together. Two little blonde, well, one tall blonde, one little blonde.
I mean, that wouldn't be terrible.
Katherine Heigl's character, if Donna wasn't going to be with Harvey, I was like, they should just put her with Samantha because I felt like those two had good chemistry. I don't think Donna had good chemistry with that guy that was just a placeholder until Harvey came to his senses. I was like,
Thomas?
Boring Thomas. Boring, lazy.
That seemed like a perfectly suitable gentleman. He was nice.
They had no chemistry, no heat, no passion.
Was principled. He was a small business owner. Probably a medium business size business owner.
It was never going to work out. He was like Donnie with Daphne and Niles, just a character, a roadblock in the way, if you will. I don't know how Suits is going to wrap up their storyline. I used to think like, man, Mike's the reason for all their troubles. This crap's been going on. These law firms, I would be more of a Mike Russ type lawyer. I think I'd want to help people. Like they all care about their names being on the wall. It's very stressful to me.
Yeah, I would have a really hard time.
Do you think we'll see Jessica again?
I don't know.
Louis got to get married, right? At some point, his wedding's going to happen. That'd be a way to get Mike back and then be like, Rachel, she got held up, in England, working on something and can't, because we always.
Do you think when Mike comes back, they wink and nod to that? They make a joke. They do some sort of joke about why she's not there and try and mix that in. There's
stuff in the show notes that I feel like you don't have with you. We've got to address the cussing now.
Yeah, they suddenly, and this has been a couple seasons now.
Yeah,
for the last couple seasons, suddenly they can just say the F word
so you're
whenever they want.
That on USA Network? I guess you can on FX, right? Like, what are the standards for that? I don't know. I know, like, FX you can cuss on, right?
I have no idea what shows you can or
Isn't The Bear
cannot.
technically through FX?
Yeah.
And they cuss on that?
Maybe so. I don't know. Maybe they changed the rules.
There were some Rocky references that I really liked.
Well, one of the episodes at the end of season 8 was called Rocky 8.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Anything that you've written down, I feel like I told you, I was like, write this down.
I have the F word, which we addressed already. Windows. No idea what we're trying to say there.
Oh, they're always having a bunch of windows open on their computers. They never lock their computers. I think we complained about that.
We've talked about that, yeah. I don't know. It's weird to me that they all have laptops.
Security is bad at these law firms. Like half the time they'll be having a private conversation and the guy they're talking about they'll turn around and he's like right at the door. And I'm like, I would beef up my security
What's
a little
funny
bit.
is they had a storyline not that long ago where somebody signed in the guest book. So it proved that they were there.
Yeah.
But then no one's ever signing in the guest book. It's not like they don't even have one at the law firm.
My rising stars for these last couple seasons of Suits, Gretchen. Love Gretchen. Anything Gretchen's in.
Gretchen is the final note that I have in my notes here.
Protect Gretchen at all costs. And Lewis's therapist. I really like him. Dr. Lipschitz.
Yes, he's good. Right? He's a good character. I like him. He seems to me like, honestly, one of the better representations of a therapist.
Agree.
On TV.
Harvey's therapist was not.
Harvey's therapist was not. But Dr. Lipschitz really does, to me, feel like a very accurate description of a
And I hope that man gets paid well for putting up with Louis Litt. Louis Litt's a great character to watch on TV, but I don't think a lot of us would enjoy to be around somebody like that.
Correct. Absolutely.
In the real world. So how much do you miss Mike still? I still miss Mike a lot.
It's a hole in the show for sure.
I do like that they made, obviously Katherine Heigl was Mike's replacement as a full-time cast member.
Yes.
I like that they made Samantha Wheeler almost like the anti-Mike.
To a certain extent, they did. That's what they did.
Really
yes.
did. Like,
yeah.
I think she and
Louis
interesting,
have good scenes. But I do still feel like, honestly, like a lot of the other characters on the show were already anti-Mikes. So bringing in her as an extreme version of that,
she's basically a female Harvey.
Still didn't really do them a whole lot because they don't have anybody trying to provide that moral compass that Mike did. Do you agree, though? Yeah, absolutely, yes.
She's like the female Harvey.
I think they've even pointed that out on the show.
I think, yeah, and probably the most recent episode that we did. I'm really excited. I like the way season 9 has started. That now that Harvey and Dawn are together, I was a little worried they would be a little like too lovey-dovey, and they were still having their like normal dynamic.
Right.
The Harvey Donna dynamic. Things I want to see. I want to know what the can opener is. They haven't referenced that since season 1. Obviously, I want Mike to come back, and I'm pretty sure he does. And I do want to see Lewis happy with his baby. And Sheila, I enjoy that. I'd like Harvey and Donna to get married. I don't know if we're gonna have time to shoehorn in all these
think the last
weddings.
episode
I'd like Jessica to come
we'll get
back.
one of your favorite things, a time jump montage?
I love a good time jump montage. I don't know if Suits is the type of show that does that.
I don't know if
they
they
certainly
sure,
like to give us flashbacks.
they do a lot of flashbacks
with a yellow filter. Anyway, if y'all haven't watched Suits, go watch Suits. I'm really glad that I guess Netflix just added season 9, like literally over the weekend, right?
Yeah.
Because if I had watched that Harvey Donna finally getting together and I had to wait, I'd have been mad.
You just gone on YouTube.
I guess I could have done that.
Alrighty. Well, I think that's all we've got for this week. I do have one announcement. I've had it in my notes for I think 2 podcasts and just forgot to say it. But we did get a date for the final season of the Umbrella Academy.
Another show that I forget exists, and then what's out? I love it.
August 8th.
August 8th. Getting the whole season. They're not splitting it.
For me, I would say Umbrella Academy is one of those shows where if you want to watch something just bizarre, go for it.
Are we getting the whole season?
I didn't say anything about split, so.
And is this the final season?
This is the final season. I think this is the 4th season. It is the final season.
I have no idea what happened at the end of last season.
They better have a really good previously on.
You know what was a good... What were we watching? We watched something the other day, and I was like, that's how you... The Bear!
The Bear.
Give me, like, the first episode to basically be, like, my previously on. That really catches me up to speed, especially for, like, the Umbrella Academy. Every season I go into that, and I have no idea what happened the season before. Because, again, that's a show that we totally forget exists. When it comes out, we completely immerse ourselves in it. That's all we want to do, and then we forget about it again.
Yep. It's
The only thing I remember from Umbrella Academy is Dad sent me to the moon.
that was season 1.
I think that's a great way to end this podcast on.
Alrighty. Well, thanks everybody for listening, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of We Watch TV, a podcast about the TV shows we watch. You can find more from Hope and Daniel on Instagram at We Watch TV Podcast. Drop us a line if you like the show, have a question, or a recommendation. You can find Hope on Twitter at Lil Runner and Daniel on Twitter at The Real Hobo Dan. Music for today's podcast was provided by Your Tunes from Pixabay. Artwork was created using the AI program Midjourney with prompts written by Daniel.